Okay, so I'm just going to get into logical arguments for this, and then we'll see if it actually changes your mind. Alright, so remember the time when smartphone batteries could be replaced? Remember the time when you had a headphone jack and you could use any headset with any device? Remember those ThinkPads which were so easy to repair that a person who has never seen a capacitor could do a battery change, a RAM update, and a keyboard change by reading like a 2-page booklet? Remember those days where the mentality around broken devices was, let's repair it, instead of, yo, the new fad book dropped, let's get an upgrade? All these changes are mainly due to Apple suing small-time repair businesses for sketching and sharing device schematics for the iPhone so other people can repair it, making parts different like screws and charging ports so repair shops and customers have to rely on Apple for everything, and this is the worst offense. If you buy 2 identical models of an iPhone and you change the parts, which kind of stimulates a repair, the iPhone will detect the part change and block certain functionality. I'll leave a video to this in the description. The idea of repairing something yourself by ordering parts online and taking apart the device and switching them is a fucking fantasy with these modern devices. And guess what? The climate suffers because of this also. These fucking Mac fags who buy the new laptop every year don't have to worry about their battery being thrown in some Indian landfill where animals eat that shit. I keep hearing these Apple boys talk about the environment and how virtuous they are. And then they buy a device like that, supporting a company that has practices like that. And, you know, Apple stopped selling the charger because they care about the environment. But then what happened is people just bought the charger separately. So now more packaging and more delivery time and volume and carbon emissions because people need new chargers. Chargers wear out. And then Apple keeps making their products thinner and smaller, and this removes ports and functionality and repairability because smaller devices are harder to break apart, take apart, repair. Everything has to be glued in, crammed in. It's harder to repair it because the odds of you messing something up are a lot higher because everything is crammed together. And Apple says this because you want thinner products. They made thinner products a trend. And now they profit more because of it. Now people have to buy adapters, which need more packaging and take more space. And look, then the headphone port. And, oh wait, no, they didn't get rid of the charging port. They're going to get rid of the charging port with the wireless charging. They're going to make wireless charging mandatory soon, which is more inefficient and will heat up your device, causing you to replace it faster. Alright, now I'll get into the next topic. Shit design and planned obsolescence. Did you know that Apple actually glues the screen of the MacBook to the main body, and it points the fans in such a way to redirect hot air to that glue? What this essentially does is it melts the glue and breaks your device faster if you use it more. And again, I spoke about the ports in the last point, but Apple will keep making their devices thinner, which basically removes ports and functionality, so you have to buy more products and carry more things, which actually cause a greater inconvenience and a greater toll on the environment in the long run. Alright, now I'll get to the next topic. Security vulnerabilities and deliberate backdoors. Now, one thing I hate about modern tech corporations is that they love putting backdoors on your fucking devices so they can track you and spy on you. They use all sorts of excuses for this, like, oh, we want to protect you, but this is just a violation of privacy and an invasion of human rights. This is unjustifiable on every fucking ground. And think about the fact that now Apple can actually see your pictures. And the case I would use of this is, there was a father, who sent pictures of his daughter to a doctor, and he got arrested for pedophilia because Apple went through his pictures and said, oh, this guy's a pedophile. You know, they'll use virtuous things like, oh, we're just trying to catch the pedos. But then no, that's not the real reason. They're just trying to spy on you more. You know, Apple keeps saying they care about privacy, and then they have rootkits installed on your phone with remote code execution capabilities. You know, it's like buying a car with microphones and cameras plugged into it. Actually, not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind getting in a car like that. Alright, now I'll get to the next one. How many of you know what a patch is? How many of you know what permission control is? How many of you know what dot files are? Have you ever heard of root access? How many of you have altered the source code of an application to configure functionality? Hell, how many of you guys know there are alternative operating systems to Mac and Windows that are free? How many of you know what open source actually is? Do you know what data your device collects about you? No, you don't. And here's the weird part. Technology is such an integral part of our lives, but you guys literally don't know shit about it, or at least the average person. Apple has made digital illiteracy a fucking norm. And the only thing people these days know how to do is buy and consume the next product, which is the only thing Apple has taught them how to do. Would you put something into your body that you didn't know? Like a vaccine or whatever. No, you wouldn't. Well, many people these days consider technology an extra limb, and yet people run proprietary source code which they haven't seen. That is literally tantamount to you putting something into your body that you have no knowledge of. You don't know what the compound is. You don't know what it's going to do to you. And I'll make another quick point. Software efficiency and performance. Our computers are getting faster and crazier than ever. RAM and transistor density has been doubling for the past decade, okay? Moore's law, okay? And yet our devices seem to be operating at the same fucking speed. Loading times are longer than ever, and you see this extra processing power is not actually useful to you. It is used to track you and to spy on you. And it is used to compensate for shitty code and slacky developers, more bloatware and more spyware. Devices these days track you more than ever, and that needs RAM and cores and a lot of background processes running that eat up your computer specs. All these specs mean nothing if you're booting some iOS or macOS crap, because it's just used to track you and it's just used to support more bloatware. And yeah, performance on all proprietary softwares and operating systems is absolute trash. This is due to bloatware and spyware, as I mentioned before. You can't delete half of the applications that come with your Windows or whatever. You cannot turn off half of the background processes that run. You don't even know half of the background processes that run. And now I'll get to one of the last ones. Linux is pretty fucking legendary. You can control anything you want. You can delete whatever you want, and even these GUI'd up desktop environments like GNOME, it's pronounced GNOME, Mate, and Cinnamon. Even those ones have way more configurability than any Apple or whatever. Corporations have gotten you used to shitty products like Adobe Reader, Adobe this, Adobe that. And they have you dumbed down and hooked on to the retarded brand and locked in the retarded ecosystem. It's not an ecosystem, it's a prison, okay? That's what it is. And you will come up with retarded reasons based on your own complacency, arrogance, and willful ignorance to continue buying their shitty products. You will sell your human rights so your devices work out of box and easier. You will sell your human rights so you don't have to learn how to use fucking apt package manager. And okay, I'll go over some responses to retarded arguments. I watched this Marques Brownlee with right to repair. Do your research. Apple supports right to repair. Look at this pic where Adobe is planting trees. Companies, or at least companies in the US, but I think companies globally, don't give a fuck about anything. They care about one thing, their share price and their profits. Okay, that's two things. They want to control you, and they will say they care about things like privacy. Apple says they care about privacy, but they will rat their Chinese customers out to the CCP. I've left links to that in the description and another video which explains it in depth. They will disable functionality which make it easier for the government to spy on you. They will hand over data to the government upon request. That's right, they track your data. Okay, if they track it, they can do whatever they want with it. They say they care about privacy but have root access to your phone. They can see your pictures and remote execute code. They opposed right to repair in court in the past, and Steve Jobs himself exploited workers in China and lied about it to an interviewer's face. Okay, Steve Jobs is a piece of shit. Dennis Ritchie, now that's a real guy, but Steve Jobs is just full of shit. Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Elizabeth Holmes, and all these fucking vaporware pieces of shit are all the same. They're horrible people who made horrible companies and fucked up the world, alright? So stop defending it and grow a fucking conscience, alright? People these days will literally sell their morals so their Instagram works out of box or whatever the fuck. By the way, to all you Windows assholes out there, Microsoft is just as bad. They have a history of antitrust policies and practices and abuse of monopoly power to stifle operating system competition and basically get as much control as they can of the market share, so everybody's forced to use their shitty spyware so they can track more people and control more people. And now I've given many logical arguments in this video as to why Apple is bad, and I backed it up. I've left sources in the description which you can explore further, but let's face it, you probably won't. And you will still continue to use Apple. How am I not supposed to judge a person for this? Or at least a little. Again, this is not like an edgy video of, oh, you use Apple. No, there are reasons as to why it is genuinely bad and harmful to the environment. When you buy a product like this and you support a company like this for the sake of your convenience, you are essentially saying my human rights and principles don't matter. and the convenience matters more. This is not good. This is a display of complacency. And all Apple users go through ridiculous amounts of inconvenience with the ports and all that stuff. I mean, I was in university and somebody used an Apple and they had to send the files over to me because my laptop had an HDMI port. They couldn't just plug it in to the fucking Arduino or the fucking projector. They had to send it to me. And this stems from complacency and ignorance and a fear of learning new things, which are negative characteristics in a human being. And I will criticize these negative characteristic traits, and I will encourage people to work on these negative characteristic traits. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So go flash your fucking Linux distro and dab on the proprietary cucks and get your human rights back, alright? We gotta do this shit together, okay? Thanks for watching.